Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to Van Build 2.10, part 10.10, whatever, part 10. So, under one of my viewers' suggestion, I bought a very cheap this set with this miter box and the saw. It was like, I think, 12 bucks from Home Depot. And I'm going to use this today to cut reinforcements for the bed platform back here. But I also bought all of these pieces of wood so that I can start to build the teeth that go on the bed for the pull-out. I thought about just using a piece of plywood, but in order to have that other piece that I have to pull underneath, it was going to end up being a total pain in the ass to use. So I figured that using the teeth design was the best way to go. It was going to be the easiest. So yeah, we're going to get that done today. We're going to reinforce the bed structure. The bed structure is going to be done today. Let's do this. Woo! Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut out some supports for the bed frame because I want it nice and strong when I start working with it. So I'm going to use these 2x2s, and let me show you how I'm going to do this real quick. Alright, the saw that comes with this thing sucks. It's too short and it's really dull and it takes forever to get a cut, and the whole time the wood's moving around, even with these pegs in place. This sucks. I either need a new saw or I need to just bust out the Sawzall and try to keep it between the lines or something. This is not happening. So I'm gonna put this part on pause and I'm gonna cut the wood for the top of the bed box. So I gotta cut out 10 of these 1x3s for the bed. They're gonna go every other, and then the excess pieces will fit in between to line them all up. But I got this first piece, I drew the line perfectly on there, and I got it all lined up inside of here, and now I'm just double checking to make sure it's right. It's perfect. So I'm gonna line all these other ones up with this one. Okay, so all my pieces of wood are on here now. Obviously there is a gap, and on one side, the long pieces are the ones that are gonna slide in and out, and the short pieces I'm about to drill down. But I wanna get everything lined up absolutely perfectly, and I want a little bit of space between each one in case this wood contracts and expands a little bit. And it's also gonna get either painted or stained. So that's going to add a little bit of thickness to it, maybe a little bit of stickiness. So what I'm going to do is use this little finishing nail and just go between each one. And as you can see, one end has a piece that slides out and another end does not. And I'm having the end that slides out. This is actually the back and this is the front. I've got this turned around, and I marked it because one of those cross supports, the subwoofer, fits perfectly in between, which is going to be all the way in the back. So the part that I want to go all the way out is going to be on the outside. It's going to be on the sliding door side because there's going to be weight on that part. So I don't want the bed to hang over where it's okay because it's going to sit on that other cabinet on the driver's side. So I'm just taking this little nail. I lined up this piece perfectly. I'm going to redo it just to make sure. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to use this little nail just to make sure that everything's evenly spaced. And I'm just going to use a bunch of them just to make sure they don't move, and wedge the nails in between and line them up on the back side with this back piece of wood, because there is going to be a piece of wood back there to kind of hold them as it'll act as a headboard. So I'm just putting the nails in between and pushing this over. That way they're evenly spaced, and it's just a small space. It's enough where there's a little bit of wiggle room for expansion and contraction, but not so much that when I pull it out it could get like kind of cocked sideways and bind on me. The whole point of this whole bed idea is convenience. Because I have to have a fold-out bed with this design, I want to make sure that it's easy to use. I don't want something that's a hassle. That was the main problem with the last build, is everything was a hassle. I want this easy. So now I'm just walking around and kind of squaring everything up, making sure all these pieces are tight together. All the nails are in place. Still none of them fell out. Looks good. Checking the corners, making sure everything matches up. I got this awesome Countersink set. This Ryobi stuff I've had hit or miss with as far as quality, but I think that this will work just fine. I'm just going to take this Countersink bit and go around the ends and drop it down, and what this will do is it'll drill out a little hole within the wood, but it won't go all the way down, so that when I put the screws in there, they sit down inside of it, because if they're up above, then the mattress can catch on them and get torn. So I'm just gonna use this real quick. So before I do the countersinking, I want to line up and mark where I'm gonna do it. So I've lined this piece of 1x3 up, and I'm actually gonna put 2 holes on the end piece so that it goes into both pieces of wood, and I'm just going through and marking in the middle just so that they all match, because you are going to be able to see this, and I just want it as close to perfect as possible. Now both sides are countersunk. I'm just going to reline everything up and make sure everything's lined up perfectly before we get to the next step. Alright, for this next part, I'm going to carefully remove each piece of wood that's going to be screwed down and apply wood glue, and then, I need to remove this piece of metal here, a staple, and then drill 1 pilot hole and screw it in, and then drill the other pilot hole and screw it in. I found that if, instead of drilling all the pilot holes and then doing all the screws, if you do 1 pilot hole, 1 screw at a time, it's much easier to keep everything lined up perfectly, and that will avoid wood splits. One more thing about this is you got to make sure that your boards are really straight. When you're selecting boards, pull them out, stick them out the long way down your tunnel of vision, and make sure that they're straight, because if they're all warped to the side, if they're warped up and down, it's not as bad for this particular thing, but if it's warped to the side, you're in trouble. That's not going to work, because it's going to catch and it's going to be a pain in the ass, man. So yeah, make sure your boards are straight, start one end, go to the other, and now all these little nails are falling out, so I can just steal from the ones back here, because these ones are already screwed down. Okay, now I pull everything off of here. I'm going to pull all these pieces of wood out so that I can wipe off any excess glue, so that my little channels that these things are going to go through are nice and smooth. And to do that, at least with the wood glue I have, I'm sure they're all pretty much the same. You just use a damp paper towel or damp rag or whatever you want to use. Oh! Alright, look at how easily these slide between each other. It's so easy, effortless. They don't catch at all. Using those little nails was a great idea. I just talked to my dad, and he said that that's an old decking trick they use on decks. They stick a nail between the boards so that they can expand and contract and have enough room for water to leak through. The second you think you're original, right? So this piece of wood used to be on my ceiling that held in the strip lights, so I'm going to use this as the kind of headboard part that holds in the mattress, make sure it can't slide around on me, because that would be really annoying. Okay, so the nails are back in place, and I've got this thing set up like this, and now I've got this piece of wood which is going to go on the front and sit flush with the bottom of the parts that are fixed, because I actually just messed up and got like about 20 minutes into this process and realized that I totally messed up. I put it like this so it was like equally spaced top and bottom, but I forgot that there's another cabinet that goes right here that sits flush with the bottom of it, and that would not have worked at all. So I need to mount this flush with the bottom and screw all the pieces that move to it, and it'll stick up, so it'll give me a nice lip for the mattress to catch on. It'll also give me a good handle to pull this thing off. So I went ahead and sanded all the edges down so it's nice and smooth and it's not all sharp, and just make it feel good. So step 1 is glue, and then line it all up. Now double check everything looks good, so I'm going to follow through with pilot holes. Now let's reline it up. This actually might be really smart to do this from the other side, just to make sure my wood doesn't move. It keeps moving. Once this first screws in, it'll be a lot easier. I'm putting 2 screws in each one because I want this to be really strong. This bed is going to get a lot of action. Nice! Those are in. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other end, and then kind of just work my way towards the middle. 2 things I'm finding that are working really well for me. I spread these scissors apart so that they're wide, so that the same width on each end, and I stick it under the board that I'm drilling and screwing in so that it sticks up just a little bit higher than the other ones. That'll give me a really nice firm contact when I go to screw it in. And I'm also making sure that all these boards are in place perfectly every time I do this, because I want this perfect. You're gonna see this immediately every time, And as soon as I get done screwing, I get in my little wet towel and I wipe off all the excess glue. Actually, now that I've got this thing screwed in on both ends and it's nice and sturdy and I know it's exactly where I want it and it's gonna stay still, I can go ahead and go in with my, God, I should just remember what this thing is called. My Countersink set, or Countersink bit, or whatever the hell, and just go ahead and do all of them just so that they're all done and I don't have to keep switching drill bits. And one thing that would have been really smart that I wish I would have done is get another piece of wood on here and clamp it down somehow so that these can all be like perfectly evenly spaced. I can just mate this up against the piece of wood and they'd all be exactly the same. Alright, so this looks great, but I tried pulling these out and because there's nothing underneath, they all fell through. So what I'm gonna do is flip this back up and put some cross supports down in here so that when I pull it out, these boards don't fall down. So I went ahead and put an X on all the boards that don't move, just so I don't get confused. I'm gonna just drop a little wood glue on each. What's the best way to do this? Probably put it on my finger first. Okay, so I got the glue on and I went ahead and countersunk. I lined this up and measured where all the holes are gonna be and I countersunk them and got the screw started. Line it up with the glue. There we go. I'm gonna hold this thing. Gonna hold this thing in place with my foot. There we go. There's one. Do another one on this side, and then I can just go around and screw all these in. And the reason why I countersunk these is because these screws are kind of short. Alright, so those pieces are in place, and they actually added a little structural strength to it, which is kind of nice. I'm going to see how this works now. Well, it definitely pulls out nice and easy. I haven't decided what I'm going to do down here for the support. Let's see how it pushes in. There we go. Look at that. Yes, 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 yes. This is so awesome. All right, guys, super, super, super happy about this. This turned out better than I thought it would. It's absolutely perfect. The only other thing I have to do as far as building the bed structure is cut a bunch of these out. And I did this with that little miter kit, but the saw sucks a fat ass. So I'm gonna go to Lowe's Penis and get a new saw right now and install these. I don't think I need to show you. I'm just going to countersink them and put a screw in there and some wood glue, and that's it. If you've watched my other videos, you know how to do that already, so I'm not going to show you that. But next episode, I will be connecting everything together, and then I got to build the box, and I figured something out really clever with this. The box that's going to go right here for sitting, the depth wave, when I turn it on its side, is going to be the same height as this. So that I just have to move it over here, put it on its side, pull this out, undo my bed real quick, and it'll probably take like 30 seconds flat once I get used to this to have this thing in sleep mode or put it back into day mode. So it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited about this build. It's great when you get to the point where you can finally like really see the stuff coming together and really see how it's working together. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Love yourself.